Ever wondered what it's like to drive with a narcissist? Imagine being in a car where the rear-view mirror only reflects the driver's ego. Picture this: a sunny afternoon, you're in the passenger seat, and your friend, let's call him Nigel, is at the wheel. The journey starts as a casual drive to the countryside, but soon every turn and comment becomes a showcase of Nigel's self-importance. The scenic route quickly turns into an ego trip, setting the stage for an emotional roller coaster. And you thought rush hour was tough. Before diving deeper, let's unpack what a narcissist really is. Picture someone with a grandiose sense of self-importance, someone who often monopolizes conversations and looks down on people they perceive as inferior. Now, imagine this person is in the driver's seat, both literally and metaphorically. Narcissism, from a psychological standpoint, involves a cocktail of traits that includes a deep need for excessive admiration and a rather disturbing lack of empathy. These individuals see themselves as the main character in every scenario and everyone else as mere supporting roles. In the confined space of a car, these traits can be magnified. The need for control is not just over the conversation, but extends to the control of the entire vehicle. Every turn, every lane change is a demonstration of their superiority, and should you dare to critique their driving, well, prepare for a barrage of defensive rhetoric or icy silence. So buckle up as we explore these traits on four wheels. As we set off, the signs were subtle, like the radio volume exclusively under his control. The car had barely left the driveway when the atmosphere began to shift, charged with the unmistakable aura of self-importance that only a true narcissist can exude. He took the wheel with a flourish, as if steering a parade float rather than a four-door sedan. As we merged onto the motorway, the conversation, or rather his monologue, began. There was an endless stream of stories where he was always the hero or the wronged party. Each tale was more grandiose than the last, punctuated by his laughter, which filled the car like an unwanted passenger. While he regaled me with tales of his unparalleled success and the incompetence of others, his disregard for my comfort became evident. The heater was up too high, the seat adjusted just for his frame. Any attempt I made to adjust the settings was quickly overridden with a tut and a flick of his wrist. "You wouldn't understand the complexities of my job," he said dismissively when I tried to change the topic to something more inclusive. It was clear. This drive was not a dialogue but a monologue, with me as the captive audience. As the city skyline faded in the rear-view mirror, replaced by the monotony of the motorway, I realized this was no ordinary journey. It was a vivid, rolling theatre of narcissism. Little did I know the journey had just begun. 30 minutes in, and it wasn't just the engine heating up. As the journey continued, the air inside the car thickened with more than just summer heat. It was also heavy with ego. Our dear driver, let's call him Nigel, seemed to believe that the road was his kingdom and every other driver a mere peasant. It was not just a drive. It was a royal procession, and Nigel was the undisputed king. At one point, the GPS cheerfully suggested a turn, but Nigel scoffed. "That electronic buffoon doesn't know the streets like I do," he declared. Despite the modern technology at his fingertips, asking for directions was beneath him, a sign of weakness, so we drove on, the landscape becoming less familiar, the certainty of our route more dubious by the minute. Meanwhile, Nigel's critique of other drivers escalated dramatically. A car merely changing lanes was suddenly an audacious fool attempting a death-defying stunt. A driver taking a bit too long at the stop sign was a sloth who probably needed an invitation to proceed. The commentary was relentless and unforgiving, but it wasn't just other drivers who bore the brunt of Nigel's burgeoning irritation. Oh no, the very design of the roads, the placement of the traffic lights, even the brightness of the sun seemed to provoke his ire. "Who designed these roads? A labyrinth architect?" he muttered darkly, squinting against the sunlight as if it had personally offended him by daring to shine so brightly. As the clock ticked on, Nigel's mood swings mirrored the twists and turns of our increasingly mysterious route. One moment, he was the life of the party, regaling me with tales of his driving prowess. The next, he was a storm cloud of brooding silence, punctuated by sharp commands to pass him his sunglasses or change the radio station. The drive was turning into a battlefield of wills. And then the moment of peak tension arrived, just as we hit the busiest intersection. Picture this. The sun was setting, cars were honking, and there we were, caught in the throes of an epic showdown over whether to take the scenic route or the motorway. The air was thick, not just with exhaust fumes, but with the palpable tension of clashing wills. "You really think you know better, don't you?" he snapped, his voice dripping with condescension. It was more than just a question, it was a challenge. A verbal duel thrown down in the confines of a moving vehicle. I could feel the heat rising, not from the car's engine, but from the fiery exchange that was now fully ignited. As I argued for the scenic route, emphasizing the beauty of the drive, he scoffed, dismissing my points as sentimental rubbish. "Efficiency, my dear, that's what matters," he barked, pounding his fist on the dashboard for emphasis. The car swerved slightly, a physical manifestation of the emotional turmoil swirling inside. It was a battle of perspectives, a clash of egos where each jab felt like a tightening screw in the already strained atmosphere. The crescendo of our argument matched the cacophony of the rush hour around us, making it almost operatic in its intensity. And as we finally took an abrupt turn onto the motorway, bypassing the scenic route, the silence that followed was deafening. It was then I realized this was no ordinary car ride. If you're finding this drive as jaw-dropping as I did, don't just sit there with your jaw on the floor. Give that like button a good tap, and why not subscribe while you're at it? Hit the bell icon too, so you won't miss out on any of the wild rides we have in store. From emotional roller coasters to psychological deep dives, there's always something to keep you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned and keep your seatbelts fastened. Looking back, that drive was more than just a trip across town. It was a vivid journey into the psyche of a narcissist, a roller coaster of emotional highs and lows confined within the four doors of a moving vehicle. As we journeyed through the city streets, the car became a microcosm of larger life lessons, each turn and traffic light reflecting the unpredictable nature of narcissistic behavior. At the outset, the drive seemed like any other. However, as the miles stretched on, the true colours of my companion began to unfurl. Conversations that started as mere chit-chat escalated into monologues about grandiose achievements and thinly veiled jabs at my own accomplishments. The air grew thick, not just with the hum of the engine, but with the palpable sense of self-importance that emanated from the driver's seat. The pivotal moment came halfway through our journey. A disagreement over a trivial matter like the choice of radio station blew up into a full-blown exhibition of anger and superiority. That was the climax of the drive, the point where the emotional tension peaked, and I realized just how draining close quarters with a narcissist could be. The rest of the drive was a quiet, reflective passage, each of us lost in our thoughts, the silence speaking volumes. Reflecting on the experience, I've come to understand the profound impact that narcissistic behavior can have, especially in confined settings. It's akin to being in a pressure cooker with the heat turned up, where the steam has no escape. This drive taught me the importance of boundaries and the need for emotional resilience when dealing with individuals who see the world as a stage for their performances. It was an unforgettable lesson in psychology on wheels, a real-time study into how self-absorption and lack of empathy play out in everyday interactions. Such experiences, though challenging, are invaluable. They teach us about human behavior, the complexities of personality, and ultimately about ourselves. Now it's your turn to drive the conversation. Have you ever found yourself in the passenger seat alongside a narcissist? Or perhaps you've navigated other choppy emotional waters. Dive into the comments and share your tales. Each story is a beacon, illuminating the twists and turns of our interactions. And if you're keen to delve deeper into the labyrinth of human emotions, do consider subscribing. We've got plenty more journeys to embark on together. Until next time, keep navigating those emotional highways.
Savoured this video? Fancy another? Click the on-screen video for an even deeper dive into fresh territory. Your support is like a warm cuppa on a brisk day. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, ring that bell for the latest content. Cheers for watching.